Hello, let's talk about Astra, a 2021 debut novel by Cedar Bowers, up for the Gilder Prize here in Canada, which is fairly one of the big literary prizes up in the Great White North here. So Astra consists of 10 chapters and an epilogue where 10 characters all give you their kind of little slice of Astra, this young girl, this girl born in a commune in the interior of British Columbia and kind of travels through about 6 decades of her life, where you get to see her through different viewpoint characters in each one of the chapter, starting off with Raymond, her father, who has a 10-sided dice, which he uses to make rather large life-changing decisions. Well, decisions that he doesn't make, he just allows the dice to make them, whether out of kind of complete indifference or insecurity. It's kind of up to the reader to decide. He and a woman are the founders of, and supposedly the people that are trying to kind of make this commune work. And at the very first chapter, Raymond, it has to be convinced to actually participate in the birth of Astra. So it's only at the very end that Astra actually, end of that chapter, that Astra actually comes into the scene by it. But at which point you've got a pretty good idea of maybe how things are going to go going forward, at least for her childhood. So yeah, then we get chapter 2. We get a young girl neighbor. We get in chapter 3 is Claudia, one of the other women of the commune, coming back to the commune with her children. In chapter 4, we get Brendan, who is the manager of a men's clothing store, and his interactions with Astra. Chapter 5 is Sativa, one of Cloda's children, and her observations on how Astra is doing now out in the world. Chapter 6, Doris, the other co-founder of the commune, very well off, and Astra coming to live with her. Chapter 7, Lauren, is kind of a much more of an outsider point of view, with this woman who is not very trustful of her husband, and Astra kind of enters their life as sort of a nanny, or something like that. Chapter 8, Nick, is a husband. Chapter 9, Dom, is Freedom, which is one of the other children of Cloda from the beginning. And chapter 10 is Hugo, Astra's son. And then the epilogue is with Astra. So each one of these chapters, you get to see Astra at a different time of her life from a different viewpoint. And the great thing about the majority of these viewpoint characters is that their chapter in itself is a full arc, is a full story of some sort of the title character. They go through something, and Astra happens to be in it. And it's great because at the beginning of each chapter, you sort of have an idea of what you think of Raymond or Kimmy or Sativa or Doris or Lauren or Nick. You have an idea, but that can radically have changed by the end. And they have a certain view of Astra. And as your view of them changes, your assessment of how much you can trust them, or what you think they might be overlaying on top of Astra, changes at the same time. And it's like from the beginning of the chapter 2, where Astra is actually, is an upright, actual sentient human being. You get the sense of the kind of a wild child, kind of uncanny. You're kind of like, whoa, what kind of piece of work is she? And that goes through so many different changes. Is she a femme fatale? Is she a victim? Is she is she a sociopath? Is she someone who's just racked with her own insecurities? Is she, it's like you go through all these different kind of thoughts of like who is Astra. And even when you get to the final epilogue where you, I don't think it's a spoiler, that you get Astra's viewpoint itself, that's not the author saying, oh, and this is Astra. It's like, no, you've been educated through all the other chapters of people have a certain view of themselves, which, depending on what their capabilities are, is maybe not accurate at all. So it's not like a defining chapter where it shuts down all conversation. Um, so yeah, it's a really wonderful way of getting deep into one character, but also having all these 10 other characters and all their stories. I think maybe chapter 5, Sativa, where it's a Sativa is still a relatively young person observing Astra, that felt like it was a lot more about Astra, and there was less actual stuff going on for Sativa in that chapter, even though you kind of learn other things of how her life has been going on later, that you like think, oh, okay, she's made some decisions too. But that felt maybe the most filler. But you get some chapters like chapter 4, Brendan, was a really great chapter because you go through a whole thing, various things of being being wary about him at the beginning, and then thinking, oh, he's not such a bad guy, to then, oh, you learn what you learn later on, totally swinging that stuff around. It's like I felt like I really went on a journey with that character, and there's great stuff of just between the various characters, between Freedom, Dom, and Hugo is just a wonderful chapter. And maybe also just generationally of like, where Dom is at that point, he's more closer to my age, and I'm looking at Hugo and thinking he's such a little shit. But by the end of the chapter, you get really enmeshed into all these characters. This is not just the Astra show. This is the whole kind of complete web. Astra meaning star, but these are all, she's maybe the star, but there's many other stars in this constellation being put around there. Actually, constellation also being the name of the commune. So yeah, it's probably, I mean, I think maybe if you're somebody who's super into, you want a plot, this is definitely a character lover's story where you're getting 10 really well drawn characters, and then the 11th character being Astra, all kind of meshing together. It's like it's character loving heaven. Maybe it's not so much a plot story as it's like, oh, you're investigating each one of these people. So that's probably the kind of reader who is going to really glom onto this. And I think that's probably why I really glommed onto it and really loved it so much. So yeah, that is Astra by Cedar Bowers. More videos later.